Had a throttle stick part of the way open, not all the way open. Part of the way, went into the tires. I went down and talked to Derek Walker about it, saw what the problem was. It's a very abnormal, rare thing to happen. Not his problem at all, and it's fixed.
As we continue to track the battle for the lead, let's go pit side, see what the update on Raul Boesel is, Jack.
Well, it's not a good update. What was first thought to be electronics, when the bonnet came off, Raul, a hole in a broken motor.
Yeah, it's a shame. This morning, my Duracell Lola was the fastest. We improved a lot from yesterday. I was looking forward for the race, and you know, it's unexpected.
Unexpected problems, teething problems with this edition of the Mercedes-Benz engine as well for a lot of folks.
Yeah, it is. You know, Mercedes is doing a great job trying to improve the engine all the time. I think, you know, this is one of those things that nobody knew or nobody know why it happened.
Well, a first DNF here. Let's get a report on another potential DNF with Lyn St. James.
Yes, Jack, another disappointed driver and team. Brian Herta and Ganassi, they had that fire right there early on in the race, and it was actually a wastegate that had broken loose and caused the fire. Very disappointing for another team.
All right, so Brian Herta and Raul Boesel, first two retirees here in the very early going, while Paul Tracy continues to do everything he can to catch Robbie Gordon. Al Unser Jr. sits there in third with Michael lined up just behind him. Michael from time to time does what he does right there. And just tuck out to the right side, kind of let little Al know that he is there. And Teo Fabi and Scott Pruitt are continuing to close down. Well, you can throw a blanket over the front of this field.
That's going to cause little Al to put more pressure on Paul Tracy, because if he doesn't do it, Michael's going to put it on him. They're too close. Well, that guy's starting to do some serious passing pretty soon.
All strung together. Robbie Gordon, the leader. Look at Paul Tracy as he closes in. That's little Al right there in the center of the screen on you. Now over to the left of the screen. And Michael Andretti kind of close in. But look at Paul Tracy as he closes in once again on Robbie Gordon. Boy, that is a super battle. The Goodyear Blimp Spirit of Akron is floating overhead, providing aerial views of the Detroit Grand Prix. Goodyear Blimp has been flying over major events for 62 years. Just some great action coverage here. So continuing to track the front of the field, Robbie Gordon, Paul Tracy is right there, and look at how the front end is closed up again.
This is the exact situation that Bobby described at the outset of the show, which is it's very hard to pass here, but it is possible. Some one of these top 4 or 5 drivers is going to make a pass here in the next short period of time. I feel it in my bones, but it's going to be risky when it happens.
Also, Sam, the track is going to start getting slippery after a little while. They're scrubbing off the rubber that's on the track from the other races that have been run here this weekend. As soon as they get that cleaned off, the track is going to be more suitable to these cars, and the guys are really going to start trying some hard and I think sometimes dangerous passes.
Keep your eye on how rough the track surface is by watching one of the drivers' heads as we pan along with the cameras. You really get a feeling for the jarring they take, particularly right through there. That could affect Al Unser Jr., who you just saw go by. He has had some tendonitis in his left shoulder. I think it's going to be a tough race.
Wow, did you see Paul Tracy? He darts right, he darts left, and he can't get it done. Robbie Gordon right down the middle of the line.
There are so many turns here. Robbie wanted to pull over, or excuse me, Paul wanted to pull over past Robbie right, then he decided to left, but every time he'd pull out and look at the pass, there's another turn coming up already.
All right, the leader just ahead. Cummins on the rear wing. That is Robbie Gordon. Will ride right now with Paul Tracy second place.
If you listen to the engine, you can just see how smooth the driver has to be, Paul.
Paul Tracy, a lot more mature driver than he was at this point last year when he crashed into Al Unser Jr., sort of shouldered his way by to take the lead. I think Paul understands now that he is a driver who will sometimes make a mistake, but he's reconciled that with the fact that by pushing hard the way he does race after race, he's also going to win his share.
So Paul Tracy is unable to make up any real appreciable distance in that pursuit. And look how the front of the field continues to stay right together.
What Paul's been doing is laying back just for a little bit, cooling things down just a little bit, maybe getting some more thoughts in his head, and then he takes another run at Robbie Gordon. Now here's little Al.
Oh, Al moves to the inside, takes advantage of a quick corner, gets around Paul Tracy. Boy, that's a shock to Paul.
Yeah, now what happened there was Tracy was totally concentrating on passing Robbie Gordon and not concentrating on his mirrors, and little Al just sat back and he says, now's the time. Totally caught him unaware.
That's another example of how often little Al makes a pass under braking too. He snuck by with a nice late break there. Beautiful move.
Now Paul Tracy has to contend with his teammate, Michael Andretti. Al Unser Jr. probably drives it deeper in the corner than anybody else in IndyCar racing right now. Leader is still Robbie Gordon, but now second place is Al Unser Jr. And he begins to worry Gordon while Michael begins to chase Tracy.
And back at the top of the screen there.
Look at little Al, look at little Al. Al tries to get down on the inside of Gordon.
Now the problem right there is the track narrows up and makes a little S-turn. You can see that little Al was there, but the track isn't going to stay wide. That's one of those places where it got widened, but it had to go back narrow.
All he needed was to be about 5 feet further forward, though, and then he'd own the track.
If it got all the way into the turn that wide, Paul, he'd have gone right on by Robbie Gordon, no question.
Great shot from overhead in our Honda Helica.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Look at that braking maneuver. Drops to the inside. He's got him. Al Unser Jr. goes to the lead.
Now there's a pass
off Paul Tracy last lap.
There's a place where you just don't hardly see any passes. So obviously, he's got his tires warmed up. He's happy with it, and now he's going for it.
Well, Michael Andretti is up to challenge Robbie Gordon now. Paul Tracy apparently had to give way at the same time of that other pass, so Michael Andretti is around into third place.
Little Al rocketing by like that early in the race reminds me of Long Beach, a race he went on to dominate.
And you can see Robbie is holding up Michael Andretti and the whole train right now. Robbie is probably not working as good as he thought he was, or as he was earlier. There goes Michael.
Michael Andretti runs in second around Gordon.
And
now
here
Paul
comes
Tracy coming around Gordon. Tail Fabi gets caught up running behind Gordon, as does Scott Pruitt. Then Rahal, then Fernandez. Oh, look at this one as Tracy comes inside Gordon. Very difficult place to get there.
Beautiful move by Paul Tracy.
That's a dangerous pass. That's one of those we said, whoa, he lost the rear end coming out of that turn a little bit. Boy, they're starting to get serious right now.
Here's Bobby in the red and white car at the bottom of the screen. He's the next up to attack Gordon.
And he has to. There just is no choice. There he goes.
Oh,
whoa, gets the door slammed on him.
That's another thing. If he doesn't get in there all the way, the driver, like, for example, Robbie Gordon, won't see him coming. Then there's going to be a tie, and that's what we call a wreck.
Bobby almost lost a slot to Scott Pruitt, the next red and white car. You can see it there in the middle of the screen. Scott Pruitt on the move.
And Rahal closes in as well. So that's the top, including Fernandez, 8 in the order, and they're all still right together. Battle continues at the front.
This is road racing at its very best. Perilous stuff. Look at that. Look at how close. Pruitt is right under the rear wing of Bobby.
Robbie Gordon is not working as good as he did early on. He's been holding up a lot of the fast cars.
There you see the interval. As you move back to Robbie Gordon from third place Paul Tracy, and Teo Fabi now coming in on top of him.
This is a long sweeping series of turns, first to the right, then the left, then left again, and then left again before they set up for a right. They're in a series of turns that takes them, 20 seconds to negotiate.
You can see the cement down there where it used to be asphalt last year. That's where it tore up so bad. Well, we just went over. We see the light gray. That's where the cement is.
There's a Sunset Boulevard on Belle Isle. They just made the turn off of. That's the northern leg of the Detroit River as it splits around Belle Isle here at Detroit.
Canada here actually lies to the south of the United States. Kind of an unusual situation.
Scott Pruitt trying to take advantage of the battle now between Teo Fabi and Robbie Gordon.
And keep in mind, Scott Pruitt is on the Firestone. That's a big difference.
Whoa, Gordon locks the brakes up, keeps the position. That might give you an idea of how desperate this drive has become for Gordon.
They've been passing Robbie Gordon going into the turns. His brake bounces off just a little bit. When you see the tires light up in the front or smoke in the front, knock the rear, it means the bias is off just a little bit.
Back up at the front as Michael Andretti battles with Al Unser Jr. and Michael is right there across the line, just 2/10 behind. So Michael Andretti starts to take on, and look at Michael use up the brakes. Whoa, and Michael almost loses the back end.
You can't say he's not trying now, Paul.
Michael's given it everything he has. Al Unser Jr. has the advantage of a clear course ahead. But boy, what spectacular driving out of Michael.
Keep in mind, these two guys are so close together right now, but they are going to catch lap cars before too long. That's when it's really going to get exciting.
Mike sticks his nose inside.
The trouble Michael had earlier in the season was with his brakes. He often was running well like this, and then he'd go long down an escape road. They've worked on those brakes in a test at Elkhart Lake. This will be the ultimate test in whether they have managed to make them work again.
That was especially his problem back at Long Beach. Twice he had brake problems that took him down escape roads.
And in case you're wondering why Michael is just trying so hard right now to get by little Al, it's just that he wants that clean air to run in. He realizes lap cars are coming up before too long. So the guy that's in the lead is going to have the best advantage.
Michael Andretti tries to close in. Not really a passing point. Just ahead of them now, we should see the first of the slower cars as they come up to begin lapping the field. Michael's pretty good in that kind of traffic. Whoa, look at Michael. He tries to get inside again. Boy, that was a risk.
In terms of all-time Indy wins, Al trails Michael 28-29. Eric Bachelard.
Bachelard into the tire barriers here. Tire barriers that throughout this weekend have given these race cars some remarkable protection.
Oh, this is
Here
close.
comes Michael. Michael's trying on the inside. It looks like he has the turn, but no. It's still led by Al Unser Jr.
But it also told little Al what Michael's doing, not just the mirrors. Remember, little Al can't watch the mirrors all the time. When Michael pokes his nose in there, that's the signal.
Remember, these are the two great second-generation drivers that have basically given us so many fantastic races over the last 10 years. It is vintage stuff to see them battle like this.
I think there's no question at this point, Bobby, as we come through the yellows, this is for Bachelard. And now they can go back to racing speed. But I think there's a solid indication that both Michael and Tracy are probably faster through much of this circuit than Al Unser Jr. is. So Al Unser Jr. still leads it. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. On Belle Isle in Detroit. And quite a bit has happened since we left you. You can't plan these kind of things. We are under a full course yellow. You saw Eric Bachelard as he ran off the course, and then shortly thereafter, apparently Eddie Cheever and Alessandro Zampedri got together. And let's take a look at what created that situation. Now watch the black car of Eddie Cheever. There he comes into frame with Zampedri climbing over the back end.
Whoa, Zampedri just carried his rear end around.
Oh, gee,
It would look like Zampedri ran over the top of him or got him in the back and couldn't get loose of him. Cheever kept slowing down, probably not because he even knew what was going on, Paul.
Now, just before this, Eric Bachelard got into trouble. You saw him sitting by the edge of the course. There he is moving to the inside. And he just gets the front right cut off and into the barrier. So these two situations brought out a full course yellow, and when we went full course, immediately everybody, with the exception of Emerson Fittipaldi and Andre Ribeiro and Christian Danner, headed for the pits. So the leaders have already been in and out of the pits, and there was quite a bit of action on the pit lane at the same time. So let's now go down and get a review of that action and begin with Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, the window of opportunity was there for everybody. That's why they came all in like feeding time at the zoo on pit road. But when you have everybody coming in all at once, you can have some close quarters racing. This is the nose cone off of Mauricio Gugelmin's car. It was clipped on the right side as he tried to pull into his pit area. They've replaced the nose cone, and he is back out in competition. Just before the caution, we talked at the top of the show about the recommended tire compound for Goodyear, and how the Andretti's and the Tracy team had a graining problem. Well, Danny Sullivan pulled into the pits. One tire on the right side had picked up excessive rubber. The rest of the tires had that graining problem. So we're going to have to wait and see if more